All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome literally to my kitchen, or our kitchen, I should say. My name is Andrea Vaughn. I've been a wellness educator with the Juice Plus company for, over 17 years now. And you are joining for Meatless Monday, all about plant-based eating. And I'm going to just preface right now, because when I was having some conversations with people beforehand, they're like, I don't want to be a plant-based eater. That is not what we're here to convince you to do tonight. But there's no debating that the more plants you eat, the healthier you'll be. We all know that. And so we thought this would be a fun little event to do tonight. It's Monday, so it's Meatless Monday, and that's like a great jumping point, if you will, to start. And health is most definitely a journey. We've been on our own continual journey for, as I said, 17 years now, and really working over time to make healthier choices in our diet. And I think that's all become more important to us because we've really understood and the power of food as medicine. So no matter where you are in your eating, right? No shame or anything like that. We just hope you pick up some valuable tips and that we can inspire you tonight with simple ways to get more plants into your diet, some great cooking tips. Anybody who knows me personally knows that I am not the master of our kitchen. That is my awesome husband, Brandon. So, hey, you there, babe?
Hi, how are you?
Here's Brandon. Okay, so we're going to hop right in because, as I said, we usually eat our dinner like 6:30 at the latest. We like to eat earlier. And I'm hungry. So I'm going to let you start by telling us what's for dinner tonight.
Well, for Meatless Monday, we're going to do baked tofu and some roasted vegetables, along with a brown rice with some veggies in it as well, and then some sourdough bread.
Oh, yum. I love it all. I'm going to be even more hungry, and I'm smelling it as we're going along here. So, okay, so we're going to get started, and I'm just going to preface, we're amateurs here. I joke because people who know me too also or follow me on social media often see pictures of Brandon's meals because they're so fabulous. So I think this might be the unofficial launch of his cooking show, but we don't have the fancy technology. So when I'm going to show you things in a moment, how he does prep and stuff, I'm literally just going to point my screen down. You're not going to see us, but you'll see the stuff that is important. So why don't we start tonight with the main course, which I guess is the tofu. And I think when I talk to people, this is probably the one I think with everything else you have planned for tonight, where people aren't certain how to prep tofu, what to do with it. I know there's many different ways that we eat it. So what can you tell us about tofu and cooking it?
The first thing is the one you buy. This is the one we've settled on. It's called Hodo. And those of you that live in Texas, we have HEB. Here everything's better, or Herberty Butts, however you want to look at it. But there are tons of tofus out there. I would buy an organic, extra firm tofu if you can't find that one. This one is organic and extra firm, and it's sold at HEB. If you don't have this one, I would get a tofu press. And basically you open up the tofu bag over the sink, put it into the press, and then you let it, you fold it down, and then you let it sit for about 30 minutes.
And then a little bit more. Yeah. So I can even actually operate this thing, y'all. So, and this is how we kind of started with tofu, right? So yeah, if you see those really
the real spongy ones, yes.
Spongy ones. So I have texture issues a little bit. I don't like really spongy tofu. So that may be a reason why you don't want to eat it. So this is a really great way to really get the water out of it. And just a little tofu tip, I think, aren't you able to get the water out of it and then actually freeze it afterwards if you want?
No, the water will take more, or the freezer will take more water out of it. You don't need to put it in the freezer if you have one of these.
See, I just learned something. So there you go. Okay, so.
Which with her texture issues, it's going to apply to the way I cut it.
Okay, so let me get you into the cutting here because he's starting and he's not waiting for me to turn the screen. So hopefully you can see him. Okay, so you're seeing.
So see how thin I cut her tofu? Because she does not like spongy or soft tofu, if you will.
So remember, it's like this in the store. This is the one we buy, or thicker. And yes, I prefer it to be a thinner, longer strip. A lot of restaurants will serve a spongy square.
Cube, yeah.
And so, okay, so let's show them a little bit here, our fancy system. So you're laying that, you cut the long squares with the
Yeah,
tofu.
it's real,
and,
real fancy.
And you laid it out. Okay, how come I'm asking questions and learning here, y'all? Why the paper towel underneath?
Well, you'll see in a couple of minutes or a minute.
Okay, so I don't know why the paper towel.
So what I have here is I have an avocado oil with some just Italian seasoning. I'm just gonna baste this side of it. And the seasoning I used were smoked paprika, thyme, oregano,
Right there,
basil,
garlic,
and
what else you got?
rosemary.
Thyme, I'm looking.
Rosemary on the burner.
Okay, that's everything. They're like all over here. I mean, so this is something I also have learned from him or watching him in the kitchen.
And so this is why
Spices.
this
I don't
is
think
why
you
I did that.
Okay, look at
Because
that
I didn't
little
want to get
trick.
I didn't want to get my hands dirty and have to go wash my hands.
That was pretty cool, actually. I'm not surprised. Okay, so you're doing both sides?
Yep.
Okay, so
But you do the other side so it doesn't stick, because it'll stick to the pan if you don't have that oil on it.
okay, so what about the nutritional yeast?
I'm going to show you that here.
Okay.
Now, I don't add any salt to hardly anything as we cook, because people are going to add or not want salt at
Can
the
we
end.
go back up? Tofu's prepared?
Well, yes, except for
Okay.
we're going to put some
Okay, so
nutritional
let's
yeast
show
on.
them this. Let's talk about nutritional yeast. Okay, so wait, hold on a second. I almost knocked the spice off the counter. Tofu, one thing I want to say with this tofu, it's on here, 14 grams of protein. So we talk about you can get protein from plants. It's actually a superfood. Dr. William Sears, if you know who he is, and I'm half on screen. This is one of his 16 superfoods, and tofu is considered a complete protein, meaning it gives your body all the 9 essential amino acids that our bodies don't make, which is really, really important for health. Okay, so, and another one that we may do another show at some point in time is tempeh. I love tempeh, but okay. I mentioned nutritional yeast a minute. This is something that I think everybody should have in their kitchen. So show them the nutritional yeast and tell them about it.
Bragg's is the one we buy. It basically can go in soups, on top of salads. I put a little bit on top of the tofu just to give it a little bit of a cheese flavor. And then Andrea really likes the soy sauce flavor. So we buy the liquid amino, which is also by Bragg. And just
okay, hold on. He's at work again here.
and
See?
just, sprinkle a little bit lightly, because again, we did not add any salt. So we'll use that. Now, I will tell you, she'll have this and the nutritional yeast at her plate as well, because she loves both of them. So she'll probably add that on.
Okay, so let's talk about those real quick. The liquid aminos. Okay, so this is a much healthier alternative to soy sauce. So soy sauce, this is like a third of the sodium, I think we looked up.
It's
so
1/3. It's half of the Kikkoman's light, and it's 1/3 of the Kikkoman's regular.
Yeah.
As far as sodium.
And no chemical preservatives, just a way better alternative. And then the nutritional yeast, where's that at? Let's talk about what else do we do with the nutritional yeast?
Add it to soups, on top of salads, on top of potatoes. It gives it a cheesy
I do it on
flavor.
top of pasta. I don't use Parmesan cheese. I'm non-dairy, so this is what I use instead of cheese. Oftentimes, popcorn.
Popcorn.
A lot of people tell me that they sprinkle this on their popcorn. So I kind of feel like these are two things, when we talk about swapping things to get better options in your diet, these are two great things to have in your kitchen. And nutritional yeast, as a side note, also is a good source of protein. It's got 5 grams of protein per serving, and it repairs tissue and helps with nutrient absorption. So I love that food is medicine, and that's why I love to share about things like this that help. So, okay.
We'll talk about this in another time, but we'll use the nutritional yeast in a vegan queso. So if you like chips and queso here in Texas, we can make a vegan queso with that.
Yeah.
Probably the only other item that you might not have in your kitchen is a plant-based butter. This is the one we've settled on, Neutrali. But so really probably only two or three items that you might not have in your kitchen already that's your.
But everything else we're showing
everything
you
else is what I call staple items in every kitchen, really.
Okay, so let's talk about that a second, a little deviation before you move on to the rice. But how do we choose which brands and stuff? I know that
on my phone I've got a Yuka, but it's YUKA. Just download a Yuka app. It's got a picture of a carrot. And it has a scanning code to keep a scope, a scanner, I guess. Basically,
yeah,
that
it's
you
like
scan
a
the
camera
QR code,
scanner,
and it'll rate the product. And I've changed out some products based on that. I mean, some of them are rated poor, some of them don't rate at all. So I probably stay away from most of those. but then most of the ones that we're buying now rate excellent or at least good. And so it's kind of neat. You think something that might be listed as organic and all natural or whatever, it sometimes can be the worst rated item on there.
Well, and I have to just share a funny story with y'all yesterday. So it was Easter, right? We made a vegan berry crisp to have for dessert with the kids, but I know the kids love ice cream. So, right, everything's about balance. It's not, I always say nothing should be off the table. It's just should be how much you're eating of it, if you will. And so we were scanning the ice creams yesterday in the grocery store. It's not, I mean, yes, some rate better than others though, but let's be real. We know that's not a healthy food, but it is a really,
all rated pretty poorly. So
it is a really healthy app that has helped us kind of gravitate toward the better option of different foods, if you will. Okay. So just before we move on to the next thing for dinner, the tofu is going to do what? It's going to go in the oven. We're baking it tonight.
375, 25 minutes. Or, if you like it crispier, longer. If you like it chewier, less. So it's pretty easy.
And what are some other ways that we eat? Because we eat tofu multiple nights a week.
In the air fryer, or you can saute it in a skillet. I've chopped it up and made taco meat out of it also. It's very useful. So
yeah.
It's easy to use.
And tempeh, just before we move on. So tempeh is fermented soy. And so extra, like I always say, fermented foods are like superfoods, if you will. And so that might be another time that we'll want to share, but how do
we can go through that.
Tempeh.
That's the one that you have to be a little bit more careful with because it can be dry. Now, some of us like dry food,
drier things.
But I don't like dry food. The first time I actually had tempeh, I didn't like it and I made it. And so I've had to figure out different ways to make it, to keep it more moist and stuff, but we'll do that on another show.
Okay. So that's going to go in the oven.
Yep. I've got a brown rice going.
Okay. So yeah, so let's move on to the rice. We chose a brown rice, which is really great in terms of dietary fiber. So there's our brown rice.
Okay.
We also actually posted about this and had a lot of interest in it. And I did not know this even existed until he cooked it one night. The black rice.
Black rice. This is probably our favorite rice. And Sprouts has one. This one's from HEB. Whole Foods has a couple. It's awesome. It has a lot more flavor and it's good in protein.
Yeah, good in protein and really high in antioxidants, which are going to just help you with general health in that regard. So we chose brown rice really for the visual impact, I think, tonight.
Yeah.
We go back and forth between the two, but I want you to share. Okay, y'all are going to laugh at me. You can tell I'm going to own it. Like I own how novice I am in the kitchen. And I did feed a family of 5 for 20 some years. But when you read the rice instructions and it says this much rice and this much water, that's what I do. Doesn't that seem logical? Oh no, wait, what does Brandon do when he reads? He doesn't even read it, first of all.
Use a veggie broth instead of water.
Yeah, he's like, what? You would use water? A veggie broth, you just replace the liquid with the veggie broth and you get a whole lot more flavor. But another way, so we've already got the brown rice, the veggie broth. What's another way we health up our rice?
And then like tonight, I added corn. We have some celery, onions, and we're going to throw in some cilantro at the very end. And so another little
edamame.
Oh, and edamame. Yes.
I love edamame in my rice, protein. Y'all. It's another protein source.
And so another thing she wanted me to show you is like when you buy a bag of carrots, instead of, cleaning them every evening and, taking the skin off and then slicing them, I just do the whole bag. Put them in a Ziploc or into a mason jar or a sealable container. Same thing with celery. And then next time you go in, or if the kids want a snack, you've got that for hummus and peanut butter and all that good stuff. It's ready to go. And it saves a lot of time throughout the week for dinner. Our kids do what they call meal prep. I do prep to where it's ready to go. And I can, throw meals together a lot faster. The only thing I probably wouldn't do are some of the softer things like avocado or tomato or things like that. So.
Yeah. And I love that because I feel like it's great to make a healthy meal once, right? But the more often you do, the healthier you're going to be, right? The more plants you eat, the healthier you're going to be. So in that regard, I feel like if it's prepped, you're much more likely to eat it. Okay. So now, hold on. What are you doing? Where's this going?
We're getting ready for some vegetables.
Okay. Well, he's already ahead of me. Okay. So we kind of got the rice, right? You heard me say I like to add on oil. Let's clarify that. I like to ask him to put edamame in our rice. Edamame has 17 grams of protein in a cup. So not that I'm having a cup of edamame in there, but you just see it's another little add-in that you can change you can make that can just increase the nutritional value of what you're eating. Okay, so I didn't tell anybody at the beginning, but Brandon has a long history of working in the restaurant industry. He's a VP for First Watch. I don't know how many restaurants do you oversee right now?
98.
98 restaurants. He is not in the kitchen in these restaurants. He oversees everybody, but mad chopping skills. And again, something I've learned, and I've watched my kids, and I guess, you know, they pick up from their parents, and mom showed them like this really difficult, challenging way to chop. So we almost always, wouldn't you say, almost always have roasted veggies with our meals? I'm like,
Pretty much,
we'll
yeah.
throw them in tacos.
We
What, I mean,
change the variety, but just
Yeah.
every day. Yeah.
because that's a good point to make. Variety of veggies is so important in the diet. Every color has a nutritional value, has its own unique set of phytonutrients. You want a load. So I'm going to let him I'm going to turn the camera back down so you can kind of, oh, what are you doing here?
So
I don't know
tonight
what he's
we
doing.
got broccolini. If you hadn't seen broccolini,
Oh my
it's a
gosh,
long stalk.
broccolini is my
Looks like an asparagus, but
favorite.
it's broccoli instead.
Okay.
We're gonna have carrots, zucchini, and squash. Then we're gonna add some tomato, which I'll slice in a second, and then cauliflower. And then
Do you want me to show you slicing now?
you can.
Okay, hold on, y'all. So we'll just let
So a
him
lot
do
of the
his little.
cauliflower come in, and whether you buy the package or break it off the florette, they're too large to eat. So we'll just slice it down the center like that to get more of a thin slice, like this. It'll be a lot more edible or easy to eat.
Okay.
And then the same
Can
thing
we
for
see this?
tomatoes. Just we're just gonna slice them.
Okay, so this is something I want to ask you about because, and I'm just literally, I'm learning with you all tonight. So you were picking the knife up on that one versus how I've seen you chop in other
'Cause
times.
it's tall.
Because it's tall. Okay. So let's talk about, all right, this is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm feeling like I'm just putting myself out there as a total idiot in the kitchen.
So an onion or a red onion.
An onion.
I
This is
pretty much
so cool.
I use red onions for everything. I don't personally like the white or the yellow. I think the red gives a lot more flavor, but everybody complains about having to clean the onion. So we're going to talk about how to clean it.
And he chops these things so fast, your eyes won't even cry, or I won't water, right? I'm not going to
Sure.
cry here, and I'm literally right next to this thing in. So,
Okay, slice it in half. And we're going to do two different things. We're going to dice one, and we're going to julienne another. So to dice one, we're going to go
Can we get
against the grain or the ribs, but I'm going to hold it here so it doesn't go anywhere. And I'll turn it back around, and I'm gonna go with the ribs.
that makes me, I'd probably come, oh, there you go.
Diced onions.
I watched my daughter dice an onion for a good 5 minutes or more.
Same thing, we're just gonna do.
I thought maybe there's somebody out there who's feeling her pain.
We're just gonna do the second step for our roasted vegetables tonight. We're gonna do a julienne onion in those. The diced onions are great for rice or any of those types of things.
Okay,
And again,
Okay,
the
so
prep.
you got to bring it over in front.
So what we'll do for those
Where are
diced
you at?
onions, I'll
I
just
can't
basically
see
put
your
those.
head, babe.
Okay.
Let me move you back.
I'll just
Okay.
put those into a Ziploc where we can put them in the refrigerator and use them for tomorrow's dinner.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask, won't they make their fridge stink?
That's why they're in a Ziploc.
And that's enough?
Yep.
Okay. Don't you freeze onions too when you do that?
I have.
Okay, so look at,
Okay.
wait, I'm sorry, y'all, this gets me so excited. Like, do you see all the colors in here? Okay, so why in the world are our veggies in a bag?
Just watch.
Okay. I'm
So
like,
we're gonna add a little bit of avocado oil. Now, she asked me why avocado oil versus olive oil. Okay, she challenged me on that.
I did. I challenged him on what kind of oil you should be using.
Olive oil is good for dipping and for dressings and light cooking.
Because
Avocado,
olive oil will go rancid if you cook it at high temperatures,
no,
right?
it's got a lower smoke point.
Okay,
So avocado oil has a higher smoke point, so it won't smoke until a little over 500 degrees, whereas olive oil is going to smoke at 350.
okay, so you threw in some olive
Okay,
oil,
so we put in avocado.
avocado, forgive me.
Okay, then we're
Wrong way.
using all those Italian spices as well as smoked paprika and garlic.
This is
And
where I think,
And I put it into a Ziploc just so we can make sure we get it all evenly
Okay.
distributed.
okay,
So like this, and now you're not trying to do each vegetable individually.
that,
Okay, now I'll take it and I'll put it on the
You're
pan.
gonna have to show, oh, pretty, 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 pretty.
Now you've got
see
your
this?
vegetable medley on a
See
pan.
this? There you go. Can you see it? Hopefully. Ooh, I'm gonna dump it. So one thing I would say about this that I feel like, again, just something I've learned by watching you in the kitchen over the years is you're not afraid of spices.
No, and that's probably the thing that gives a lot of vegan or vegetarian food a bad name, because a lot of it can be bland. If you just eat a raw vegetable, it might not be to your liking. So I've come up with a different group of things. Like I said, mostly Italian seasonings. I do use some cilantro, and I do prep that as well. I'll buy usually 2 bunches at a time, and then chop it up, wrap it in a.
Oh, I love this smell.
little
You either love it
napkin.
or hate it.
And so I'm going to put some in the rice now because the rice is almost done.
Okay. So you can never have too much cilantro. I know it is a total love-hate kind of thing, but all right. So you prep that. Anything else on the veggies? Okay, so talk to us about I mean, I think everybody's pretty commonly roasting veggies, at least I hope so. But my biggest takeaway is just a ton of different spices.
Just that and a lot of different colors too. I think it adds a lot to it. If you do things with different textures like squash or carrots, make sure you cut the squash a little thicker and the carrots a little bit thinner, so they'll cook about the same time unless you want to do them at different times. But you see how I cut those. So.
Okay, and so we'll have the veggies in the oven here, and
I'll put the veggies and the tofu in the oven, and then start working on some.
okay, and so we've got, let's back it up here. Tofu, rice, veggies. Oh, we talked about sourdough.
Yep.
Okay, where's our sourdough? So if you have not attended a sourdough workshop, I highly encourage you to do that. That is something we are in the Juice Plus community are having a lot of fun with these days. Sourdough is also, again, a superfood, a fermented food that is really good for gut health. And that's a lot of what we talk about in our sourdough workshops. So I would just encourage you to get with the person who invited you to tune in tonight and just say, put them on the spot and say, hey, when are you hosting a sourdough workshop, or where can I attend one? Because they are so much fun. I just actually hosted 57 people in Houston last weekend. But here's the thing we do. So normally we'd have the big, beautiful sourdough loaf, but there's just 2 of us at home. So we bake the loaves. And a lot of times I intentionally bake a loaf in order to just freeze it. So what'd you do tonight with the sourdough?
Well, after we baked it, we let it cool, and then we sliced it into like sandwich thick slices. And then we're putting the vegan butter on it, as well as the garlic and the Italian seasonings. And then what I did add is I added some everything bagel seasoning on top of that.
Okay. And so you're just going to toast that basically.
Throw it in the oven and toast it.
So what I love about sourdough is just that it freezes really well. I will say when he slices, I know, I just avoid the kitchen. When he slices the bread and before we put it in the freezer, you put wax paper or parchment paper or something between the slices.
So you can pull it apart easy out of the freezer.
Yeah, but we literally do not buy commercial bread anymore, do we? So it's so cool because in the freezer, we can just grab it and pop it in for a piece of avocado toast or like tonight's dinner. And then it's really fun. And if you do get into sourdough or bake fresh sourdough, he makes a killer dipping oil. He doesn't give me many recipes, but so many people who've attended the workshops over the years have begged for that. So I made him write it down. So I do have that. I'm happy to share it with anybody. Again, just get in contact afterwards. So that's kind of what dinner's going to look like tonight, right? So I know you want to he's very big about plating when you're in the restaurant industry. I learned this as well. Presentation is important. So I know before we wrap this up in a few minutes, he wants to literally present the plate. He's had some in the oven, kind of cheating. So we wouldn't take a lot of your time tonight. But what do you feel I know part of this answer and he's going to but what has caused us to really focus on eating this way?
Well, 10 years ago, starting on Juice Plus. And so it helped me. For me.
17 years for me.
It started me wanting to eat
more
fruits and veggies. And so I started eating more fruits and vegetables and actually craving them. I was still eating a meat and chicken diet and a lot more fish than anything. But then once Andrea and I started dating and found out she didn't eat any meat or chicken, she would only eat salmon, which, believe it or not, that was the hardest fish for me to understand that she would eat because it's so oily and strong tasting. But anyway, that's what we did there, and it really helped my health. And quite honestly, I lost some weight and everything else because of it too, just not eating all the beef.
Yeah. And so I think that's the thing. Again, it's just a process of getting more plants into your diet. And that's why we wanted to do this tonight, was to inspire you on that. And so I know he's like getting ready to plate everything. So I'll give him a couple minutes and I'll just tell you for a few minutes real briefly. And then again, you can get with the person who invited you tonight to learn more about Juice Plus. But yeah, so what happened for me was mainly a history of Parkinson's disease in my family. My grandmother, my mother, I really started seeking out answers. I had a neurologist tell me I was next in line. I felt like there should be something I can do. And this is why I love to share things like this, because I believe that when you understand that food is medicine, it is one of the most empowering things you can do. And also when you understand the power of food, again, in your body, you will want to eat more of it, right? You'll want to eat more fruits and vegetables because you really get how good they are. I also had a really picky eater. My middle child was just a complete nightmare, honestly, to feed. She ate corn and grapes. That was her fruits and vegetables. And then everything else was yellow, pizza, French fries, chicken nuggets. And so interestingly enough, I get introduced to Juice Plus 17 years ago after moving to Texas, and I wanted nothing to do with it because it just seemed like another one of those things. There's a million nutritional things on the market. We were doing our multivitamin. I was doing glucosamine, calcium, all that stuff. But I'll tell you just a few things that I feel make it so unique and what were the game changers for me and why we're still here 17 years later taking it. First, research, like hands down. In fact, I had to grab this because I don't even know everything it does. So whatever you take, that is one thing I would ask you to do, is know what it does in your body. Otherwise, what are you spending your money on? And so I always love the fact that I can point to research when I have been able to help so many people get healthy over the years with it. I always know like what research made that impact. And so just listen real quickly what it does. It's bioavailable, just simply means it's proven to get in the bloodstream, helps with the immune system, antioxidant production or protection, reducing inflammation, repairing DNA, cognitive brain health, right? So important, skin health, dental health, heart health, lung function, metabolic health, gut health, and then omegas are super cool. We have a really great plant-based omega, but that is why I said, I think we might be healthier eating this. And my eating habits were not this years ago. They were far from it. I just ate any junk that I could honestly eat and just went running to run off the miles to kind of compensate for that. So I have learned since that good health really comes down to getting more fruits and vegetables in your diet, and every physical condition is going to improve with better nutrition. So we have a few different blends. We have, let me see what I got here quickly. We have these are my three favorite, the plant-based omega I mentioned. So again, all plant-based, but fruits, vegetables, and berries. I'll just read one of them just so you can get the impact. A couple things to note. Again, nutrition facts. That's not a supplement label. It's not an isolated supplement like vitamins. It's the same as a bag of spinach in the grocery store. So I love that label, and I love the NSF certification. Again, whatever you take, look for these things. Look for research. Look for certification proving the purity of the product. But this is just the berry blend. And listen, raspberry, bilberry, cocoa, blueberry, Concord grape, pomegranate, blackberry, cranberry, artichoke, blackcurrant, elderberry, and acerola cherries. There is no way that is going into my body every single day, right? Just from going to H-E-B and grabbing all those groceries. And the fruit and vegetable blend, again, 10 more. This is literally 30 plants. And so in a world where I feel like we cannot eat enough plants, we absolutely cannot. I joke about this all the time, but I'd say, who is too healthy? Who is too healthy that they could legitimately say, well, I don't need any more fruits and vegetables in my diet? I've never met that person. And we need to be eating like a ridiculous amount of servings. We need that variety, that rainbow diet. Quality is everything. Did you know? Little side note. Oh, I wish the Tower Garden lights were on. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm so excited about our new Tower Garden right over there in the corner. And so every fruit and vegetable has a function, right? 90% of nutrients enter a plant in the last 10 days of the growth cycle. We want to be eating what we can from the grocery store, but it's nutritionally depleted. So that's why I love Juice Plus, and that in the Healthy Starts program that lets for kids eat it for free. So again, Brandon, I think, has dinner ready here, and I'm hungry. So I don't want to take any longer time on that. Just ask the person who invited you. So, all right. So let's look at this dinner. What do we got?
So here's dinner.
All right.
Here's your baked tofu, your brown rice and veggies with edamame and some other veggies in it, and your grilled vegetables or roasted vegetables.
All right. Is that my plate or yours?
That's yours.
That's my plate. Okay. And I will eat every bite of it because first and foremost, everything on there is good for me. Right.
Yep.
And I will say too, that it's incredibly filling. Would
Yeah.
you agree?
Absolutely.
So, I think that's another misunderstanding people have when they think about plant-based eating is that they're going to be hungry. What would you say to that? And then we'll just wrap this up.
That's
'cause our
what a
food's
lot of
hot.
the guys would say, but you have so much protein plus the starchy rice on there. So you're going to have plenty of filling stuff and then a piece of bread. So you're going to be good.
Yeah. So on that note, y'all, I'm literally smelling this plate under me. I'm going to go eat my dinner. I hope you found some value in what you learned tonight. And I don't know, we'll see if we do this again at some point in time. But the best encouragement I can just give you is get more fruits and vegetables in your diet. Oh, and I will say, because of time, I didn't want to go through the chat tonight, but if there are any questions in there, I'll get back with you or Brandon will. Putting him on the spot individually because we'll get that chat printed out at the end of this recording. So go eat more plants, get as many as you can, get all the variety that you can. You'll never be too healthy, friends. Have a great evening and thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Good night.